Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to listen to me. There is, as Frankl said, the meaning of the moment. And I therefore want to present the content of my original paper in a new and immediate context. As a logotherapist, I am reading it to you as a statement of fact, hoping that you, as logotherapists from all over the world, will sign onto it. Do we, as logotherapists, fully realize the transformational power of logotherapy? Do we fully realize the treasure we are holding in our hands? Logotherapy in the right hands has a transformational impact on individual lives. But more than that, logotherapy can also be powerfully instrumental in changing the course of human history. Logotherapy can have a dramatic impact on a world in crisis of meaning. Dear audience, we are in a world crisis of meaning right now. I am speaking to you from Israel, with a sporadic zooming of jet fighters above and the sound of blasts, either from the Iron Dome missile interception of rocket barrages upon Israeli cities, towns, and villages, or of bombs exploding on Hamas military infrastructures in Gaza. Israel had its 9/11 on the 7/10/2023. Terrorists broke through our fences and flooded the town of Sderot and the villages in kibbutzim on the border with Gaza with one aim and one aim only: to kill and to terrorize and to bring Israel to its knees and destroy it. Our enemies have long told us plainly and jeeringly, you are for life, but we are for death. The most shocking scenes emerging from what happened and showed or reported to a stunned and anguished nation were scenes and eyewitness accounts of beheaded bodies, also of babies, a heap of shot children, of families tied together and burnt alive, a disemboweled pregnant mother, her unborn baby still attached to the umbilical cord and knifed to death. Was she still alive to see it? Mothers with their children, youngsters, the elderly, some in wheelchairs, were brutally taken hostage and taken to who knows what fate awaits them somewhere in Gaza. More than 250 youngsters celebrating at a music festival in the desert were mowed down. Many young women caught as they were running away and raped before they were shot or taken hostage. In the destroyed homes of the border kibbutzim, even the beloved dogs of the inhabitants were shot. But amidst the carnage and unbearable anguish of a nation in shock and bereavement, we have also seen something else: the awakening of the defiant power of the human spirit, voiced by one of the Holocaust survivors whose story I was privileged to capture in my book, Life's Meaning in the Face of Suffering. She said, Hitler could turn us into a heap of dead bodies, but he could not get at us. Never since the regained statehood in 1948 have we seen the spirit of this nation rise up and show itself in such beauty and togetherness, not only in full support of our soldiers, risking their lives in order to save ours, but in caring for each other, reaching out to one another, providing comfort and help in whichever way possible. A notice was sent out to offer housing to the families that were evacuated from their devastated homes along the Gaza border. 45 minutes after the notice went out, a rabbi phoned offer housing in his community. But he was told, "You have phoned too late. We have already found homes for all the families." How many families were there? The rabbi asked. 6,000 was the reply. Homes were found for 6,000 families in 45 minutes. Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and a Jew, has left us a legacy of caring for the suffering and the dispossessed. It is a legacy that contains the commission to turn adversity into a triumph of moral greatness. Logotherapy highlights the absolutes of meaningful living. Absolutes a whole world is called to embrace. The meaning of this moment of history is to take a clear stand for what ought to be in the horrific face of what ought not to be. Logotherapy is a science and illuminates the factual truths fundamental to human existence. As a therapy, it is healing through meaning, a healing that is in-depth, profound, and enduring. It is a healing needed not only in the personal lives of those seeking the why and wherefore of their lives, especially in the face of tragedy and pain, but even more essentially, it is also a life's orientation of meaning, purpose, and direction, very much needed in a world torn asunder by divisive ideologies, violent conflicts and strife, and the chaos and confusion of the lawlessness of meaningless ways of living. Logotherapy is the world's answer to terror and tyranny. Tikkun Olam, a Jewish concept, the commission to repair a broken world, is the credo of logotherapy. Logotherapy has been bequeathed to us by Viktor Frankl. He triumphed in emerging out of the greatest demonstration of man's inhumanity to man, the dehumanization and murder of men, women, and children in the concentration and death camps of Nazi Europe, with a message of meaning to a world in crisis. From that time until now, the call to the world to make a correctional change in the direction of living morally accountable and responsible lives has rung out all the more clearly. Nowhere has the call to say yes to life and no to what assails and destroys it rung out more clearly than right now, here where I am in Israel, among, and once again, the besieged Jewish people. It is a people known as the people of the book, a people of the law of the one and only who has called himself the Holy One of Israel and who challenges not only his people, but the peoples of the world with a command: choose this day whom you will serve, life and blessing or death and cursing. Therefore, choose life so that you may live. Frankl spoke of the objectivity of meaning. By that he meant that meanings are transcendent, beyond manipulation or change. Meaning can be experienced by anyone, anywhere, at any time, under all circumstances. Being transcendent truths, Meanings are transmitted to us from what Frankl, by way of his dimensional ontology, described as the transcendent or suprahuman dimension of being, a dimension beyond the third or human dimension of being. As human beings, we operate from the human dimension. We are human, not divine. But being self-transcendent creatures, we have the capacity to reach out beyond ourselves and experience the fundamental truths or the enduring values of life as they are transmitted to us from the all-encompassing dimension of ultimate meaning. We are open vessels, Frankl stated. We are meant to be receptive, forever responsive to the absolute or ultimate meanings of life in order to experience a holistic sense of being, a sense of wholeness or completeness that Frankl described as a basic trust in the unconditional meaningfulness of life. Man lives in and through values, Frankl categorically stated. How are we to define those values if, as Frankl expounded, these values are values to live by? Here we come to a real understanding of meanings as being objective. That is, as required responses in each and every situation, every distress, every tragic or painful happening in our lives. Our ability to hear, discern the meaning embedded in every situation we are faced with, Frankl called conscience. Conscience acts as a moral compass. It is an ethical sensitivity, the very essence of our person, what we fundamentally experience ourselves to be. Conscience has been birthed in transcendence, Frankl maintained. It is a gift of transcendence. Frankl spoke about the unconscious God, an intuitive or gut awareness that we are in a relationship of accountability before someone other than ourselves. Life is a task. Every situation has a command imperative. Something is expected of us. A specific response, unique to every moment in our lives, is required of us. Every situation has got only one answer, the right one. If the one right response to any given situation is expected of us, it means that we have the inherent ability to answer in the required way. We can discern a right response from a wrong response. And because we can, we are held responsible for the choices we make. Responsibility, therefore, is the very essence of human existence. Man is a spiritual being, Frankl stated. We are not bound to the dictates of the substrata or subhuman levels of our being. As human beings with the unique attributes of freedom of will and choice, and endowed with an inherent will to find and the ability to realize meaning in our lives, we are commissioned. We are expected and are enabled to master our behavior and control our emotions. We are meant to use body and soul to rise to great spiritual heights of moral stature. Frankl stated succinctly, what man is, he is not yet, but ought to be and should become. We are all challenged to rise to an eco homo way of life. Frankl spoke about the unity of humanity as the call of our times. We have to unite around a common will to common meaning. We have to build bridges of connection to each other, yes, but the most powerful connection between us is a unity around what ought to be in a solid and like-minded stand against what ought not to be in our world. We are meant to overcome evil with good. When I was first confronted with the stories of Holocaust survivors, I did not know what to do with it. The magnitude of such inhumanity to man was simply beyond comprehension. At that time, I wrote this little poem of anguish, and with this, I want to end. The whole world, we ourselves, are called to answer the title of this poem, The Jewish Question. Where was God in the Holocaust? How can I answer you? I can only attest that he is. When I asked him where he was in the Holocaust, he turned to me and said, "Where were you?" Thank you. Some questions, some comments. We've got time to discuss. Would you want to unmute it? No, you must open it so that you can speak. Wow. Well, if what I said you need to absorb and you don't have. Okay.
I don't think it's that they can't, each person can't speak more. So that's the end of the session.
Okay.
Feel free to put in any comments or questions in the chat or unmute yourselves and voice them.
Yeah, you see, they need to unmute themselves.
So we are muted. You are muted.
You're on. No one's asking questions.
Jared, is there no one to answer a question?
I'm not seeing any questions yet.
Well, it suits me. Yeah.
You spoke very definitively, and so.
Yeah, maybe I've stunned a little bit, stunned my audience a little bit home. But all right, let me just read you something. And with that, I don't mind. You can email me and comment over time if you let everything that I said sink in. About this Holocaust survivor that I just quoted. She was a 14-year-old girl when she was captured and taken first to Kovno ghetto, where because she didn't look Jewish, that she got involved in the underground, but she was caught and brought to the Gestapo headquarters. And I just want to illustrate the defiant power of the human spirit. She was only 14 years old, remember. She was brought before the Gestapo commander, and he said to her, "Don't you know I've got the power over life and death? Why don't you bend down and kiss my boots and beg for your life?" And she said she stood as upright as she could, and she answered him, "Yes, true. Whether I live or die is your decision. But that I do not bend down and kiss your boots and beg for my life is my decision." How's that? And she also summarized what actually is now also the whole issue. she said about what the Nazis and the Holocaust, the same with the terrorists that we are facing right now. But just listen to this. Their system was not only to attack you physically. Their aim was to attack you morally. Have you ever seen such a propaganda warfare, a warfare of misinformation as we are seeing now? Our enemies are lying through their teeth, and they are on social media, and they are evoking the most anti-Semitic comments from people around the globe. And there is uprisings and protests. What is this? You know, those of you who read the Bible in the New Testament, Paul speaks about the battle for the minds of men. That is what it's about. How can you make a clear choice if you're not morally informed and if you've not learned to live a decent life? Like Frankl said, there are only two races in the world of the decent and the world of the indecent, and they run through every nation, and we are all commissioned to join the race of the decent. So, you know, here, look what she said, and this is the triumph that I hope will emerge ever more strongly, not just here among us in our togetherness in Israel, but as we have seen a world support, the President Biden coming here, the Prime Minister of England coming here, dignitaries from other countries to show their support. There is a rise of a common will to common meaning, and that excites me greatly. I think we are going to see a change in the world, because what is our enemy after? She put it this way: they wanted to break you into pieces. They wanted to convert you into an animal in a desperate fight for survival, to make you crawl on all fours to beg for a crumb of bread, to break the spirit and the human being, the dignity, to a nothing. That was what they were doing in the first place before they took you to the gas chambers and the mass graves. To me, that was worse than just being shot. To me, the degradation of my personality, this terrible slander that we're hearing of my being human, of my having a right to be in this world and have a land of my own, of my Jewishness, of what I am, to break that, to me, was worse than just being killed. We are in spiritual warfare. Logotherapists, and never has logotherapy been more called to the task than now. All right? Okay, I think we'll take leave of each other. Please contact me via email. And thank you for being here with me today.
Thank you, Dr. Shantall. I'm going to echo what Dan Franz said in the comments. He said he doesn't have a question, but Teria, you're truly a treasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you for your presentation. We do it. If anyone has thought of a question, please feel free to voice it or put it in the chat. But while you're thinking about that, I will encourage you, for the lunch hour, we're having some discussion groups. So if you've been inspired by things you've been hearing, or going to connect with other logotherapists, at the top of the home screen, when you go to the home page, it says community and discussions. Click there to join a discussion group. So we hope to keep the conversation going.
Thank you, Jared. Thank you so much, and thank you for making this opportunity possible for us with all the arrangements and the hard work you put into it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay. If there are no more questions, I'm going to say good night.
Oh, we have a hand up.
Oh, yes, there is a handout. Okay.
Hi, Teria. I have a question, and it's about collective neurotic patterns. Frankl says that meaning crises can be experienced collectively, and
yes.
these are provisional attitude, fatalistic attitude, collectivistic attitude, and fanatic attitude.
Yeah.
I can understand the relationship between meaning crisis and fatalistic attitude, collectivistic attitude, provisional attitude, but I cannot understand the relationship between fanatic attitude and meaning crisis, because people can find meaning in their fanatic attitude. So how we can explain the relationship between fanatic attitude and meaning crisis?
I didn't get the first word that you said, a meaning crisis, and between what and the meaning crisis? Sorry, the sound is not very well.
Okay. Meaning crisis can be experienced collectively.
Yes,
and it
I
can
agree
lead
with you.
to fanatic attitude. But also
Fanatic?
people, fanatic attitude. There is a one
Fanatic.
word. Yeah.
Yes.
But
Oh.
also people can find meaning in their fanatic attitude.
Oh, okay. Now, let me, you know, there's also such a lovely parable that it said, by their fruit you shall know them. And this is how we learn in our lives, isn't it? When we do something wrong, we might think we get away with it, but we go down a road of feeling restless and guilty, and sooner or later, what we've done boomerangs on us. Remember, that's what Frankl said. If we don't react in the way that is required, it's going to boomerang on us. And this is, it would be interesting for us to wait and see what the effects are of self-destruction, of people who willfully choose to be inhumane. Because of course, being human, the whole concept is that we are meant to be humane. And even though I don't see such a great togetherness of fanaticism, look at it, little pockets of fanatics, and they fight each other. I mean, there are internal divisions. They can't really unite. They've got pockets of fanaticism that are at each other's throat, because why? What is the fundamental motivation? It's what Frankl said, the will to power, to dominate. And if that's your will in wanting to dominate a group that you've scapegoated to hate, that very same attitude will be evident in your relationships with whoever, you know, so-called those who are on your side, but you know, they won't be on your side for very long, because they would be in competition with you to get to a position of power. So what we see in the end, and we must wait to see what wins in the end. Goodness, beauty, truth, that wins in the end. That brings forth life. And the opposite might look as if it's successful for a while, but sooner or later it comes to a miserable end. I mean, where's Hitler today? Where's what happened tragically then? It's and you know, we as Jews say, in every generation there are a lot of tyrants, and we have to cope with them, but they fall one after the other. So, and they don't stand. There's a wonderful image in the Hebrew Bible where the prophet Daniel saw this huge image. You know, its head was of gold, which is Babylonia, the Babylonian dispersion and destruction of the first temple, and then the Assyrian, and then the Greek, and then the Roman, going down from the head to the breast, to the hips, to the legs, which the legs was Rome, which was destroyed the second temple. But look at the metal. Gold is the most precious, it's the most powerful. Next, it was silver. And, you know, it's a lesser metal, but it's still quite strong. Then brass, that's even a lesser metal. Then iron, that's even a lesser metal. In other words, the forces of evil slowly and certainly become weaker and weaker. Why? Because goodness in the world is also becoming stronger and stronger. You know, I don't believe there's going to be another Holocaust. You know why? Because we as human beings and as in our time have become more humane. That's it. We see the humanity of people now supporting us and taking a stand against this evil incarnate. Really, that's what it is. So I'm full of hope. And you know, the image ends with the feet of iron and clay. My goodness, can iron and clay hold together? And that's just like we're seeing today. All the little terrorist movements. I mean, just mention them. Hezbollah, PIJ, Hamas. That they are so Islamic Jihad. There are so many terrorist movements all over the world, but they're in little pockets. And they can't really unite anymore. And then the final thing that Daniel saw was the stone of truth, the stone of what is meaningful and beautiful in life, coming and crashing the feet of iron and clay, and the whole image came toppling down. You know, this is when I work in therapy with clients, there's always a rising hope of a future that is awaiting, and there's a destination of glory, of something good that happens in the end, of life that has meaning in an ultimate sense. And the same with humankind. We are moving to a point where we will have total victory over evil. And there's a new world coming. Oh boy, and evil won't be found on it anymore. So take hope and take courage and do what you have to do, each in your wonderfully unique situations, even your relationships, especially with your loved ones, especially in your family. Don't let there be any disruption or division or ugliness. Deal with it, and seek for family unity, because that unity is the solid foundation of society. And whatever work you do, that you are making people more aware of what is good and wonderful in their lives, that they can responsibly commit themselves to it, and they themselves become more beautiful as they fulfill a particular role in life. So I just want to encourage you this with all of what I've said. I'm actually, you know, Frankl spoke about tragic optimism. That's exactly what I'm experiencing now. I'm experiencing tragedy, but with great optimism. So thank you for that question.
Yeah, thank you for your answering. Thank you.
Oh, all right, my dear. All right. Okay. All right. I hope to be in contact with all of you in the many other such conferences that we arrange, because as logotherapists, we have to become a family. We have to become a closely knit family that work together for good in the world. That's our mission. That's our mission as logotherapists. Right? Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Shantall. We appreciate it, your message, and we appreciate you. And so as you leave the session, please complete the survey. It'll be on the right side of the screen, and we look forward to interacting with you throughout the rest of the Congress.
Thank you. Okay, Jared. Well, good night to you all.
Good night.